Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hello, podcast listeners. It's AZ, and I'm back with episode 36 of the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a concept. This is not my concept. In fact, I first heard about it from my friend Christina Montalvo, who I've mentioned before. She has a podcast called The Confidence Project. I first heard about this concept from her, but I am unsure whether it is her original thoughts and ideas or if she had heard about it somewhere else. But this is what's known as do something today that your future self will thank you for. And again, I've actually been doing this for years, but I never put a name on it. But it's kind of how I operate my life. And I have a couple funny examples about it before we get rolling into how you could potentially use this to simplify your life. So I've been a fire officer since 2014. Math is hard. 9 years. And I remember specifically thinking as a firefighter, wow, it's so awesome that I don't have to be responsible for remembering all of these things like where's the Knox box? Where's the alarm panel? Where's the room that contains the controls for the elevator? I was so excited not to have to remember that stuff. And then I got promoted. And in one day, I became the person who is responsible for keeping that stuff in check, keeping track of it. And so I remember specifically, I hadn't been an officer very long, maybe a year. And we went to a mid-rise apartment building for occupants stuck in the elevator. And initially, they weren't too riled up, but it took us a bit of time to find the room that contained the elevator controls. And so, and it was not in a logical location and it was not marked. And so I remember them getting little by little, getting more and more upset. Not necessarily at us, but just the fact that they were trapped in an elevator. And so when we finally were able to find the controls and safely release the occupants, I took a little piece of paper and I wrote a note and I put it in the elevator key box. And the note just said, the elevator controls are located in this little room in the west hallway. And I forgot about it. I never gave it another thought until recently. So now, how many years later, 6, 7, 8 years later, we went to a stuck elevator in that same building. And I was thinking, gosh, I don't remember where that damn room is. And I was so delighted when I opened up that box and found the note from past me that made it so much easier to get our job done that day. So that's one example of something past me did for future me that made my life a lot easier. Here's another example. I mentioned a couple weeks ago about my fridge. I'd been having some serious challenges with my refrigerator. The whole water in the door situation wasn't working. And the basic troubleshooting that I was doing, like simply just trying another filter, that was interesting. I put the second filter on, tried to run the water, and somehow built up pressure in the line, and no water came out. And then when I went to remove the filter, it blew off in my hand. Luckily, not damaging anything inside the refrigerator, but that was a fun adventure. So I went to the Google machine, and I found what I thought was a reputable site for some information on this troubleshooting process. And they said step 1 was to bypass the water filter with the little plug that came with the refrigerator. My friends, I hate saving shit. I hate clutter. I hate parts and pieces. And I know some people save everything. I hate saving shit. But I do remember thinking when I moved into the house, I probably read on it because it actually says on it, do not throw this away. And I remember thinking, where am I going to put this so that I can find it in the future should I ever need it for some unforeseen reason? And so I learned this trick from a coworker. I put it in a little bucket that is labeled parts of stuff and pieces of things. And let me tell you, people, the junk that is in that bucket is so random, but also it's all stuff that I might need at a later date. So I actually was able to fairly quickly locate that plug and insert it. And actually the troubleshooting worked great. And now my refrigerator's back in service. So past me, who really wanted to throw that plug away, also rule follower me, the plug said, don't throw this away. Put it somewhere where I could find it in the future. So that made my life a lot easier because those plugs, actually, if you go online to buy them, they're like $15, which isn't a huge deal, but that would have really annoyed me to pay $15 for that plug. So how can we apply this concept of do something that your future self will thank you for? And I have like maybe 6 or 8 things that these aren't specific to firefighters, but I think that they could be really useful for us. So the first one is taking an hour or 2 out of your week, planning it, putting it aside to shop for and prepare your food. Now, I'm not saying you got to do it bodybuilder style and put it in the little plastic containers, although that is really helpful. But if you just take a couple hours to make sure that you have at your house proteins and produce and side dishes and whatever, and then you actually prepare them and have them available for you in your fridge, it is orders of magnitude easier to quote unquote eat healthy. Because I'm telling you, even when I'm hungry and I know there's nothing at home prepared, it is very tempting to just go grab something. And so that's not how I like to live my life. So I take a couple hours every week, do some food preparation. On that same thread, I do take a fair amount of supplements and I time them out throughout the day. And so very much like a geriatric patient, I divide them all into these little pill boxes. And so it takes me maybe 10 minutes every week. And just so you know, though, it's also awful because it emphasizes how fast the weeks go by. I'm like, oh my God, I'm filling up the supplement box again. But anyway, taking that couple of minutes ensures that I take those supplements that I want to be taking for myself. And that's a whole conversation for another podcast. I do the same thing with my protein shakes because I put a couple of extras in my protein shakes. So to make it easier, I just portion everything out into shaker bottles and have them ready. So they're grab and go. Just add water, shake it, and leave. Another thing that I have these kind of set up in sections. The next thing is most people don't love doing laundry and things like that, or unloading the dishwasher. We don't love it, but we know it's got to get done. And so I have a practice of, I make sure and I do my laundry on my first day off, and I make sure that it gets washed, dried, and folded. Now, I don't necessarily put it away because I'm one person. And so I wash, dry, fold, put it in the laundry basket. And then once that laundry basket is full, it usually takes maybe 2 or 3 rotations. Then the laundry basket goes back upstairs. I put it away. That's my routine. So I know as soon as I come home from work, first day off, I get started on my laundry. And so it's all done and out of my eyesight on the next 2 days. Unloading the dishwasher, I also make sure to run that dishwasher the night before I go to work. And then I unload the dishwasher before I go to work. So I come home, I have an empty dishwasher, and I know I need to start my laundry. It sounds really stupid and small, But I always am like, I am so glad past me unloaded that effing dishwasher before I went to work. Here is one that has to do with physical fitness. We want to make sure and lower all the barriers to entry. And the one thing that that works really well for me is past me lays out my outfit for training the night before. So before I go to bed, I do all the things, brush the teeth, put on the pajamas, lay out the physical fitness training outfit, the workout outfit, and then go to bed. Because all I have to do is get up, put it on, and get started. Regarding, this is kind of having to do with training as well. I have always set the alarm for the actual time I need to get up. I know there are people out there that truly believe that they get quality sleep by snoozing 6 or 8 times. I am positive Dr. Brager, the sleep neuroscientist, will tell you are not getting quality sleep when you are snoozing for 10 minutes and being awake and snooze, awaken, snooze, awaken. So past me has always set the alarm for the time I actually have to get up, and then I get up and do what I'm going to do. Usually that's workout. And I'm always grateful. I'm grateful for the fact that I didn't set the alarm 75 minutes early and just keep poking at the snooze button. And then one last tip with regard to sleep, because you do know I love my sleep and I love to talk about it. You as a human need 7 to 9 hours of sleep to function optimally. And I have a bedtime, but if you are not into defining a bedtime, may I invite you to at least work backwards from the time you would like to go to bed. So if you know, I would like to go to bed at 10 o'clock, I would invite you to work backwards and help yourself check off the things that you need to get checked off so that you can actually go to bed at 10 o'clock and then wake up in the morning and say, thank you, past me, for helping me get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. All right, keeping this one short, as always, if you are so inclined, I would so appreciate it if you would subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, give me a rating, and share the podcast with someone you think who might be interested in it. I would certainly appreciate it. For now, this has been AZ, and I am out.